No soldier ever really survives a war. Those were Audie Murphy's words in his autobiography, To Hell and Back, post his experience in World War II. What this decorated veteran meant was the impact of war on the mind of everyone who physically survived it. Loss of life and property, economic downfall, political conflict, resource wastage, destruction of livelihood, and loss of innocent lives aren't the only consequences of war. A very important and rather unrecognized damage of war is psychological. This damage is inflicted on all victims of war, soldiers and civilians. Various studies have been conducted on wars and their subsequent psychological effects. One commonly found problem is that of war-induced post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD. In the most recent case, the European country of Ukraine was invaded by Russia on the 24th of February 2022. In what is claimed as an escalation of the 2014 Russo-Ukrainian War, it is expected that the entire war will result in high PTSD cases, especially among children. The clues lie in the studies conducted during invasions and wars in the past. Based on data after the 2014 war, a study published in the online Wiley magazine in 2019 found that 27% of Ukrainians out of the 1.5 million displaced during the war suffered from PTSD. The impact of war on the mind can be determined by the data extracted from America's war in Iraq and Afghanistan. A study done by Brown University and Boston University found that while 7,000 American soldiers died in combat, more than 30,000 active and veteran soldiers committed suicide. Consequently, the U.S. Department of Veteran Affairs also conducted a study and found that 13.5% of the participants screened post the Afghan and Iraq invasions showed symptoms of PTSD. The same study also showed that 12% of war veterans suffered from PTSD post the Gulf War, while 15% showed symptoms post the Vietnam War. But the first case of soldiers showing PTSD post-war in huge numbers was seen after World War I, when 80,000 British soldiers showcased symptoms of PTSD according to a study published in The Lancet by psychologist Charles Myers. With little understanding of PTSD back then, the term shell-shocked was coined by Myers for diagnosis. Today in the modern world, shell-shocked shares many common symptoms with what we call PTSD today. Based on this data, as well as concepts like shell-shock, war neurosis, psychiatric collapse, and various other terms which came up post-World War I and World War II, where more than half of the American soldiers experienced PTSD, it is safe to assume that this war in Ukraine will also have certain psychologically devastating impacts. Such possibilities must be considered timely and seriously to avoid another humanitarian crisis after this war.
To know more about the subject log, connect with a therapist or lawyer through the United We Care website or app. Easy access to a host of professionals working just to make happiness your first priority.